It feels a little bit like this is probably what the gold rush felt like, that if you can solve genuine problems for people, truly, and I'm on a mission to help women use this technology. We need more female voices in the space, training these models on female voices. I'm not married now, right? But I can't tell you how many images I generate, and I'm like, why'd you put a ring on my finger? There's a lot of assumptions with little things like that. And so it's kind of working one-on-one to finesse the offer, to be honest with you. And it's great because I'm building agents. The data that I'm able to pull in, it is blowing my mind. If you know how to solve a problem for somebody, the tech is there to support a unique solution. And I think the bespoke solutions right now within the AI space is kind of the gold rush, for lack of a better word. And I don't mean it like a get rich quick, because there's work involved and you have to, be present with clients and support people. There's a ton of opportunity.
Hello and welcome to today's episode of Pivot to Profit. I have the amazing honor of speaking with Kim Doyal today. How are you, Kim?
I am fabulous. Spring is springing. The sun is out. No complaints.
Amazing. Let me formally introduce you to everyone. Kim Doyal is a longtime online entrepreneur, creator, and storyteller who has spent nearly 2 decades helping people build businesses online. After unexpected changes in her personal life led her to step away from a traditional career path, she set out to create a business that allowed her to work from home with her kids, eventually becoming known as the WordPress Chick, and co-creating a content planner that generated nearly $500,000 in sales. Today, Kim focuses on helping creators find their voice, tell better stories, and use AI tools to amplify their ideas while keeping the human connection front and center. This is amazing. I can't wait to share your very heartfelt story with everyone. But before we dive in, hey listener, if you're a business owner who wants to better understand your numbers, increase your profit, reduce your taxes, and grow your wealth, we would love to help you at Pivot Business Group. We're a financial strategy firm. Just go to pamjordan.com to schedule a call with my team. All right, Kim, are you ready to jump in?
Let's do it. Let's go.
My first question is, what did you want to be when you grew up?
Well, once I got past I want to be a rock star, right? Like at 8 and 9, I decided I was in a children's choir, and it's like, I like to perform. Let's be famous. Graphic design. I did a lot of art growing up, and I really thought I would go into a traditional graphic design career. And in a way, it's a part of what I do, but that was what I wanted to be.
I love it. And what was young Kim taught about money? Was it good, bad, evil? What was it?
Not a lot, to be honest with you. And I have to pre-qualify this. I jokingly say it's the recovering Catholic in me. I adore my parents. They were amazing. I had a wonderful childhood. But, my dad was a police officer. My mom got married thinking she wasn't going to have to work. So it was hard work, really. There wasn't a lot about money other than you work hard to earn it.
Got you. So let's talk early career. So you started off in corporate. What did that look like? What did that smell like? All of the things.
I guess corporate, it was retail management, and I just kept scaling up, and I was a district manager in San Francisco at 26. I was really driven, but it's not a quality of life. End of story. I kept opening stores, and I'll be a training manager, and I'll fly here and I'll go there. And it's just, if I could go back and tell younger Kim, I'd be like, girl, use your voice. Don't put up with the bullshit. A lot of patriarchal misogyny in that space. And so, I was a hard worker, right? I did what I was told. I wanted to be the star employee, and I kept getting promoted. And at the time it was great, but again, it is a horrible quality of life. No life, at least for fourth quarter.
It's nights, weekends. Retail is not ideal.
No. Even though the companies I worked for, I loved, great companies, but it sucks. In California, when you're a store manager, you're the only salaried employee. Everybody else is hourly. So you're the only one that can work 6-7 days a week and not cost the company a ton of money. So yeah, it sucked.
Isn't that convenient? And then lifes, and you had 2 young boys, and you realized this is not the quality of life. So how did you pivot from 6-7 days a week, days, nights, weekends, all the things, into I need an online business? What did that look like?
Yeah, and not to correct you, but I have a daughter and a son. So I was widowed in 2003. I lost my husband in a car accident, and I was 32, and it's just something you think happens to other people. So I kept working and whatnot, and I had a small lawsuit settle around his death. It took 5 years, but it was enough of a cushion, and I always knew I was supposed to do something else with my life, not just be an employee. Like I opened a retail scrapbook store in 1998 with a business partner. And if it had been solely up to me, I would have just kept opening stores. This was before Michael's was, selling everything. But it was just, I knew that it was no way to really be there for my kids. I was very determined to find something I could do from home. I went to a wealth expo in San Francisco in 2006, excuse me. And it's funny because it was Tony Robbins, Kiyosaki, and Trump were the keynote speakers. But we'll leave that alone. I went to this little offshoot. It was an internet marketing. And this guy was making like $8,000 a month selling ebooks. And I was like, what? What is this? And girl, when I tell you I was not technical, I couldn't even attach something to an email at the time. I wasn't. But I'm like, you know what? If I can put together IKEA furniture, I can figure this out. So I jumped in. I had a little bit of cushion in 2008 and I jumped in. I'm like, this is it. I'm doing this.
So what was the first offer that you had that you brought to market as an entrepreneur?
Well, it was, once I decided ignorance was truly bliss, right? And I claimed the WordPress chick name, which eventually WordPress is like, hey, you can't use that. So is the WP chick. But it was, again, ignorance. But I did a webinar and then I sold the physical DVD, right? There's a company out there called Kunaki. I can't believe they're still there. Shrink wrapped, I still have it. And then I shipped people the DVD. It was $24.95. But I swear the second somebody bought the webinar, I was like, it was like $24.95, right? This is before I knew that everything on the internet has to be sevens, being funny. But yeah, I was like, this works. This works. So it blew me away.
And what was the webinar about? Building websites?
It was setting up Google Analytics and, God, what was it called? It was Webmaster Tools at the time. I'm drawing a blank right now. Anyways, but to set up your Google Analytics and your sitemap and everything connected to WordPress, because obviously at the time you needed to be indexed in the search engines. You still do. But it was very techy, and it's, again, hysterical because I'm kind of one of those people that I'm like, I announce something, I'm like, you better dial this in now. So yeah. It was a ton of fun.
Tell me in those early years about a financial win where you were like, you know what, Kim? I think this is going to work.
I think it was probably the first website that I did for somebody, and it wasn't, and I swear, when I look back at what I used to charge, I would spend 3 hours with people on Skype, screen sharing and changing colors and all of these things. But it was probably the first site, but at the same time, having been in retail, it's like there's a time for money trap for sure in that type of service work. And that was never what I set out to do. Like I really thought I'm going to be an info marketing millionaire, right? Like I'm going to just sell digital products and ebooks. But yeah, it was just the websites probably were the first thing that got me really excited.
And you also have a content planner because you said you like to put pen to paper. So explain that. That's amazing.
So that was a ton of fun because when I pivoted from the WordPress chick to just my personal brand in 2018, again, having had a scrapbook store, like I designed the graphic design stuff. I had designed stickers that got published. So I just had this idea. I'm like, there's nothing out there for planning the content. And every time I'd map out a funnel or I would do something online, I took pen to paper. And so I reached out to a friend of mine who is an actual graphic designer and brilliant at everything she does. And I'm like, hey, do you want to do this with me or can I hire you? And she was like, yes. I'm like, well, which one is it? So she jumped in and we even tried a Kickstarter, which we didn't really need it in December, which failed. But because I'd built up an audience, we shared the journey of creating the planner. So I drew the pages out. I sent them to her. She did it all in InDesign. And that was wild. And we knew right out of the gate that I said, we are running paid traffic for this. I'd had some success with paid ads. And I said, I'm not doing just the constant organic. It's a grind. And so we did, and it knocked it out of the park. Like once we started the ads, and it was so fun to do, we just did like $10 a day at first. Once we started though, to see that converting, and I think we could have dialed in the back end better, but 6 of 1. And so we had an upsell of like, here's a course on how to use it. Did a lot of those. Right before COVID, we had scaled to $1,000 a day in ad spend. And so we hit, I think that one of the most fun months was I think we spent like $29,000 on ads and we did $67,000 in sales. So once you see that there is a machine that this works well, it's a little bit of addictive. Fast forward, and we're still great friends today, but it's a grind. E-commerce is a beast. I don't ever want to touch it again. And honestly, like I don't know, planners and journals still sell, but I'm way more into what I'm doing now.
That's a great segue. So Explain to us what you are focusing on now. It's an evolution of where you started. So explain.
Yeah, so it was funny because I jumped into AI in like 2021 when Jasper first came out, and it was Jarvis. I don't know if anybody remembers that. I'm always amused. I'm like you weren't going to get a cease and desist letter from Disney? Anyway, so Jasper jumped into that and was kind of blown away. I was using it a lot for copy. And at the time, I was really focused on content marketing and email marketing. You know, I would do courses and coaching, and I was still building, and I could do copywriting, so I then studied a lot of that. And I kind of thought last year that, and I'd spent a couple of years living in Costa Rica in between all of this. And so it's been an adventure, but the AI piece of it was last year. The second I tried vibe coding, I'm like, done. Because there was a little bit of, I want to say imposter syndrome, like, is everyone going to think I'm jumping on a bandwagon? It's a very natural evolution. But truly, when I was able to build something that I wanted using natural language, I was like, that's it. I'm going all in. I don't care what people think. That's another beautiful thing about women at midlife. I do not give a shit. But, sorry. But honestly, it was just, I was hooked. I was completely hooked as soon as I saw an app come to life.
So what is the offer these days? It's not websites, it's not graphic designs, it's not content planner. Help us understand.
It's been for what it's worth too, the other piece of this, Pam, that I would say is that I've taken my time to figure out the offer. And so as I got better with my skills, and it's funny, being the WordPress chick, right? Like I'm completely off of WordPress. I've totally vibe coded my site a couple times. I just relaunched it. And so it's client work right now. But the piece with the client, I moved over to Substack too. It's probably one of the best organic traffic channels right now, honestly, in the community, especially the women in AI. It's so much fun. So as I've started to scale that, like I'm going to do a paid subscription, which people can pay. There's nothing gated right now, and I do have paid subscribers, but to a community where we're not doing chit chats and forums. There's enough of that. I've got but it'll be training and upsells and whatnot. So I've got a client that I originally just did a site for, and what was really fun, she's a controller in Canada. She's a little bit older than me. And she said, this is it. You know, and she's worked with like multi-million-dollar companies, and she goes in and says, where's your P&L, the numbers issues, like where they're struggling. And she said, where are businesses going to be in 5 years if they don't start adopting this? I said, I know, Lynn. So like I said, I've built a couple different apps here and there, testing and playing. The first thing besides the websites, I have built like a personal hub, because I'm not a database person, right? Notion, I've tried to use them all. And it is amazing so I've actually started building agents. So I'm duplicating this for her. And so right now, I'm not really attached to the offer, to be honest with you, because I know it's going to sort of present itself. I can do workshops. I feel like the course space is completely shifting. And so honestly, it feels a little bit like this is probably what the gold rush felt like, that if you can solve genuine problems for people, truly, and I'm on a mission to help women use this technology. We need more female voices in the space, training these models on female voices. I'm not married now, right? But I can't tell you how many images I generate, and I'm like, why'd you put a ring on my finger? There's a lot of assumptions with little things like that. And so it's kind of working one-on-one to finesse the offer, to be honest with you. And it's great because I'm building agents. The data that I'm able to pull in, it is blowing my mind. And so also on YouTube, I've thought about relaunching. I had the WordPress Chick podcast, but I'm just kind of enjoying the journey right now, to be honest with you. I am probably going to I have an app that I'm building called Stack Rewards, where it is more kind of like a viral or one of the apps, like a giveaway app, but it's specific to Substack. And with every action that you take, you get a reward, not just points. And I think that audience is 100% there on Substack. So it's kind of like whatever somebody wants. Like I'm going to test building a website and agents for somebody that's got a Costa Rica rental property. I'm like, let me see if I can automate this process. So
let's figure it out.
Right. Well, it's fun, you know, and so which maybe it sounds very ambiguous to people who are like, look, how do I earn money doing this? But the point is, if you know how to solve a problem for somebody, the tech is there to support a unique solution. And I think the bespoke solutions right now within the AI space is kind of the gold rush, for lack of a better word. And I don't mean it like a get rich quick, because there's work involved and you have to, be present with clients and support people. But anyway, there's a ton of opportunity if you pull in your skill, your experience, and really step back. It's that age-old problem. What is the customer's problem? Can you solve it? There's kind of a bunch of things, kind of not anything definitive, and I'm good with it. But I do have plans for this. I think that first app. And again, it's the ability to scale and run traffic, because at the end of the day, I will run paid traffic. I love Substack, but paid traffic, especially with Meta's new Andromeda, the AI tends to nail the conversions in the audience. You don't have to do all that stuff. So yeah, I'm just kind of sorting it through. And I've actually created an agency site. So it's kind of like a boutique agency is what I'm looking at, but I only want, 3 or 4 clients. And so I've got another client that I'm going to be starting with, but it's fun. The amount of work, and it's crazy, right? AI can save you time. And I'm like, up till midnight, I'm like, I just could do a little bit more. I can just code a little bit more. And I'm not a coder and I'm not a developer. And if someone had told me a year ago, the language that I would understand, the tools that I would be using, I would have thought, no, but same. If you can figure out IKEA furniture, you can do this.
And AI is changing every day. And so how are you helping people navigate which tools to use, how to get started? Because it really is, I love your gold rush analogy, it really is the wild west in AI right now. And people are building tools. I mean, I've created softwares, like it's amazing. We use it every day in our agency. So like, how do you help people navigate that?
So, I did a couple, like my site, I've got this huge directory of language and terms and whatnot, and I write just like I'm talking. And so a piece of this for me is the foundational work, because honestly, like, here's a great example. So I used to send out, my newsletter was The Spark. It used to be F the Hustle. So that tells you kind of where my brain is. But it was The Spark. And so I grabbed this local software that reads data, because Substack does not have a public API. And I looked and I was like, oh my God, my individual posts are totally outperforming the newsletter. And my point with the newsletter was that I was sharing tools every week, which is noise to a certain extent. It's a little bit of a distraction. And so here's a behind the scenes. Here's what I did. I did this very long in-depth post about rebuilding my site. I built a whole back end. I've got an LMS in there. I've got the community. I built a CMS, which I don't necessarily need it because I can push stuff from my hub. But the whole thing is, in teaching people this, one, I do the everyday examples, and I'm constantly reminding people that you don't have to be technical to do this. So I relaunched my YouTube video, and I've got a YouTube team now that I'm working with, and they want to do a lot of the, the stuff that grabs the engagement. I'm like, I want the stuff that grabs the customers and truly helps. So it's going to be more longer form, step by step. And so I think showing people different examples, and I literally give the prompts in. So here's another example. When I write, I do a lot of personal stories. I like to integrate them, but we all call on the greatest hits, right? It's like, God, I've told that like 12 times. I don't want to tell this again. And so I did an exercise where I called a life inventory, and I dictate everything. I kid you not, I'm almost at 1 million words with whisper flow in a year. Well, because when I'm building, right, it's beautiful to be able to be like, nah, and I talk just like I talk. And so to be able to use these tools and break it down simply is what is helping people. And I just show the work. But the life inventory exercise that I just did, I went through it and I just had Claude. I said, come up with questions. I want you to ask 70 questions, Pam. We had 7 sections of 10 questions, but it's like, and how long would that take you to type that out, right? And so I just answered, blah, 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 right? And Claude came back and says, here's your patterns. And so it was really fun to see patterns that I had as a kid that stuck with me, like, don't tell me what to do, right? Kind of, and I was a good kid, but it was like, I was always in charge. I want to be in charge. So to see that, and I created this story bank. And so now I've got this, and so I just did the full post. I gave the questions, I gave the prompts, I gave the direction on how to create the story bank, so how to categorize it and tag it. So helping people, I really think it's the demonstrating of it. And here's a little rule of thumb in my experience is that when you're marketing and you're sharing content, it's tough because, again, there are some incredibly brilliant women that I've connected with on Substack, but yet some of the stuff is going to go over my avatar's head. They don't want to hear code or even see Markdown, right? Like, I hate reading Markdown personally. I'm like, I put it in Google Drive. I'm like, put this in the canvas. I need to, or, Gemini. But, and so you have to be careful about creating content for your peers or creating content for your audience. And so I'm really, because I did that with WordPress. I had this great community. I had a ton of friends. I had the podcast, but I'm like, it was the content that drew the customers to me. And so it's just, long story short, it's really behind the scenes and showing examples. And I share the shit show, to be honest with you. I built a ton of apps that broke, or it was not understanding, having master constraints. And so with this simplification and what tools to use, the best advice I could give to anybody is learn to build the foundation. learn to build the foundation with your voice skills and all the same stuff that we would do without AI. It's just way faster to do it, and you can iterate. So whatever tool you're using, I adore Claude, is to build that in, build the rules and the skill voice. And if you're not sure how to do it, you ask it and it'll tell you. I mean, it's just that simple. So it's build a foundation and don't be afraid to try stuff. There's nothing you're going to break. I mean, for what it's worth, even if you're building stuff, as long as you're connected like to GitHub, you're secure, And so there's a handful of things, but really get clear on what it is you want to do with AI, because some people may want to write, some people may want to get into design or images or build apps. I think building is the most fun ever, but not everybody's going to want to do that. But I also see apps and the static lead magnets kind of going sideways, because yes, somebody may opt in and download it, but if you can get them engaging and going through a quiz or I built my own quiz, like all of these things, it's going to shift. So try it. Don't be afraid to break it and talk. I swear it is the fastest path to learning is to talk. And when I'm building things, I've actually created an AI learning folder in my desk so that I'm like, remind me what we did here so that I can come back and reference this and whatnot.
What I love is you're learning in real time and you're sharing what you're learning. And that brings so much value, because AI for a lot of founders is unknown and it can be scary. And so just seeing someone like yourself, look, I built this and it didn't work. Here's why it didn't work. Here's what I changed. Here's how I got it to work, is the huge difference, because AI is not going anywhere. It is here, it is staying, and we all just need to embrace it at whatever level we feel comfortable. But I do love you being authentic and saying, look, this part works and I broke this and here's how we fix it. So I love it. So Kim, what's on the horizon for you? What's next for you?
That's a great question. So it's probably launching Stack Rewards is a big one. And like I said, I built a chunk of apps, right? And I'm like, then you look at it too, and I would tell anybody this, is look at where this fits into the quality of your life, right? Like I really require a lot of personal time to myself also. And so I'm like, this is a simple app that I can get going, and it's going to be like a once a year, like $49 or something. People aren't running giveaways every month. So is launching that and really scaling my audience. I'm going to start running paid traffic. And so, it's creating these cohesive tests also, even the paid Substack, getting the Spark Lab, which is the community launch. So kind of just rolling with it, having a ton of fun.
Kim, this has been amazing. Thank you so much for sharing your profit story with us. Where can people connect with you?
KimDoyal.com, or you can go to kimdoyal.substack.com. I have both. I do similar writing on both. And then in terms of social, I'm on YouTube. I'm launched a YouTube channel. I'm not super active on a lot of other social at this point, but probably those three places are the best.
Okay, amazing. Awesome. Thank you, Kim. That is all for today's episode of Pivot to Profit. If you are ready to understand your business numbers, increase your profit, and reduce your taxes, just connect with us at pamjordan.com. And remember, it's not what you make that matters, it's what you keep.